Hey there, Max Rich here, and you just heard me doing some sweeping arpeggios, really common in metal and all kinds of stuff. Even George Benson does a lot of sweeping. But this lesson is not about sweep picking, but it's rather about arpeggios, which make up a massive amount of guitar playing. It's so much so that I would venture to say every guitar player uses arpeggios, whether or not you even think you do. Arpeggios, basically, are nothing more than a chord broken down one note at a time. So if you play a C chord, and you play it one note at a time, that's an arpeggio, right? But there are many ways of doing arpeggios, not just breaking down a chord one at a time. That's like the most simplistic version. That's the absolute easiest version, is just take a chord and play the arpeggio of it. It's a lot more involved than that as you get farther along in your theoretical and technical ability. But for right now, we're going to just talk about some really simplistic arpeggio shapes and how best to visualize them and think of them in context. And what I mean is, if you're playing a song and, you know, like you're going and you're jamming with somebody and they say, oh, we're going to play in D major. And you're hearing this big climb up in your guitar playing, and you want to know how to achieve that, and you don't want to just do like a D major scale. Right? That's pretty lame. You don't want to do that. That's not what you're hearing. Most likely you're hearing an arpeggio. Something like that. Maybe not that specific arpeggio, but you're probably hearing an arpeggio of some kind. And so learning a few real standard shapes for just basic major and minor arpeggios will get you a good solid foundation as to and sort of increase your ability to look at chords in a more abstract way, rather than like a blocked set of notes. You know, like I'm playing a C chord, that's a C chord, right? But you can also play a C chord in a much more staggered kind of a chord shape, right? You can play like, or something like, or like, you know, and play chords that aren't your standard C chord shape. And out of that, you can build arpeggios. And if you know the formula for an arpeggio, major or minor, then you can come up with your own or find unique ways of exploring that idea yourself, right? Rather than relying on someone like me or someone else telling you what to play. When you hear something, you can say, oh, I want to hear this like big, long arpeggio in the key of E flat major, but I only know this one. Well, if you know how to make up that arpeggio, then you can make up different ones, because I guarantee you there's hundreds of different C major arpeggios you can play in different combinations, because there's 3 notes to a C major chord, right? Major and minor chords and scales and all that. Kind of, hopefully you went over that. But you should know that in a major chord, minor chord, simplistic triad, there's only 3 notes. And those are the notes in an arpeggio, right? In a C major arpeggio, you have C, E, and G. So no matter what C major arpeggio you're doing, those are the notes it's going to be made out of. So I'll show you right now some really cool examples and some unique ways of playing through these, and hopefully that'll lead you on to creating some of your own unique arpeggios that fit your playing style exactly. So stick around.